It was supposed to be a normal evening, a quiet neighborhood, a child walking home just a few houses away. But that night, 9-year-old Elizabeth Olten never made it back. Her disappearance shattered the sense of safety in her small Missouri town, and the truth behind what happened shocked the nation. This wasn't the work of a stranger or an escaped convict. It was far more chilling. The killer was someone no one expected. This is the haunting and heartbreaking story of Elizabeth Olten, a young life taken far too soon, and the disturbing truth behind a crime that left a community forever changed. Who was Elizabeth Olten? Elizabeth Olten was a sweet and shy 9-year-old girl from St. Martin's, Missouri. Known for her love of music, pink clothes, and playing with her friends, Elizabeth was the kind of child who brought joy to those around her. She was deeply loved by her family, especially her mother and siblings. She lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood surrounded by trees and friendly neighbors. It was the kind of place where kids ride bikes after school and play outside until dinner. Elizabeth's innocence was reflective of the small-town safety that many families in the area took comfort in. She was in 4th grade at Pioneer Trail Elementary School and dreamed of becoming a singer one day. Her disappearance would not only devastate her family, but also leave a permanent scar on her community's sense of trust and security. The night Elizabeth went missing. On October 21, 2009, Elizabeth was walking home from a friend's house just a few doors down. She had been playing after school, and it was only a short walk, a route she had taken many times before. But this time, she never returned. When she didn't arrive home as expected, her mother grew worried and called the police within 45 minutes. A massive search operation began almost immediately, involving local law enforcement, search dogs, volunteers, and helicopters. Everyone hoped Elizabeth had just wandered off and would be found quickly. As night fell and hours passed, fear replaced hope. There was no sign of Elizabeth. No footprints, no torn clothing, no clues. The case went from a missing child report to a full-blown criminal investigation, and soon the police turned their focus to the last place Elizabeth had been seen. The shocking discovery. As the search intensified, police began questioning residents in the area. That's when they encountered a 15-year-old girl named Alyssa Bustamante. She lived just a few houses away from Elizabeth's friend and had a history of emotional and behavioral problems. But she didn't raise immediate suspicion until inconsistencies in her statements began to surface. Investigators noticed injuries on Alyssa's hands and scratches on her arms. Her explanations didn't match the timeline, and eventually they obtained a warrant to search her home and belongings. That's when they found a journal hidden in her bedroom. Inside that journal, they found a chilling confession. Alyssa had written in detail about luring Elizabeth into the woods, strangling her, and slitting her throat. She described the murder as thrilling, even calling it amazing. The journal was the key to unraveling the horrifying truth. The killer, Alyssa Bustamante. Alyssa Bustamante was not the image of a typical killer. At 15 years old, she was a high school student who, on the surface, appeared like any other teenager. But underneath, she was battling serious mental health issues, including depression and self-harm. She had attempted suicide multiple times and had been under psychiatric care. She was obsessed with death, pain, and violence. Her online profiles were filled with dark content, references to suicide, killing, and morbid fascinations. She even posted videos of herself and her brothers playing in graveyards. To Alyssa, death was not something to be feared, it was something to explore. In the days leading up to the murder, Alyssa had even dug 2 graves in the woods behind her house. According to her later confession, she killed Elizabeth just to see what it felt like. This level of calculated cruelty and cold-blooded violence from someone so young stunned investigators and the public alike. How the crime was committed. According to court documents and her own confession, Alyssa lured Elizabeth into the woods on the evening of October 21st. She told Elizabeth she had something to show her. Once they were out of sight, Alyssa strangled her, slashed her throat, and stabbed her. Then she dragged Elizabeth's body into one of the shallow graves she had dug days earlier. After burying Elizabeth, Alyssa returned home and acted as if nothing had happened. She later attended a youth dance at her church the same evening. Her ability to commit such a horrific act and then return to everyday activities without suspicion highlighted the deeply disturbed state of her mind. Alyssa's journal entry written shortly after the murder, described the act in chilling detail and ended with a line that made headlines around the world. It was amazing. That one word captured the depravity of the crime and left the public in disbelief. The legal battle begins. Alyssa was arrested shortly after her confession and charged with first-degree murder. Because of the severity of the crime, prosecutors decided to try her as an adult, despite her being just 15 years old at the time. This decision sparked debates nationwide about how to handle juvenile offenders in extreme cases. The defense argued that Alyssa's mental health issues played a significant role in her actions and that she had suffered from years of emotional trauma. However, the prosecution focused on the calculated and premeditated nature of the crime, emphasizing the fact that she had dug graves in advance and lured Elizabeth to her death with full awareness. After 2 years of legal proceedings, in January 2012, Alyssa pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and armed criminal action as part of a plea deal to avoid life without parole. She was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole, plus an additional 30 years. The aftermath for Elizabeth's family. Elizabeth Olten's family was shattered by the loss. Her mother, Patricia Priest, was outspoken during the trial and sentencing, demanding justice for her daughter and expressing the deep pain her family continued to endure. In one emotional statement, she told Alyssa, "I hope you go to hell." The community mourned alongside them, holding vigils and building memorials to honor Elizabeth's memory. Her story became a symbol of lost innocence and a warning about the hidden dangers, even in seemingly safe environments. For many, the case raised uncomfortable questions about teen mental health, parental oversight, and how society can intervene before someone becomes a threat. While justice was served, no sentence could ever bring Elizabeth back or ease the grief of her loved ones. Reflections and national impact. The murder of Elizabeth Olten remains one of the most disturbing juvenile crimes in American history. It forced lawmakers, psychologists, and the public to confront the complexities of youth crime, especially when the perpetrator is both a child and a killer. The case was frequently cited in debates over sentencing laws for juvenile offenders. Should minors ever receive life sentences? Can someone so young truly comprehend the gravity of murder? Alyssa Bustamante's actions forced these difficult questions into the national spotlight. Elizabeth's story continues to be told not just as a tale of horror, but as a heartbreaking example of why awareness, early intervention, and mental health support are vital. It's a reminder that evil can sometimes wear the face of a child. Elizabeth Olten was a bright, joyful child whose life was stolen in the most senseless way imaginable. Her killer wasn't a stranger hiding in the shadows. It was a troubled teen from her own neighborhood, someone she likely trusted. This case shows us how quickly darkness can emerge in places we least expect, and how the worst crimes can sometimes come from the most unlikely hands. The tragedy of Elizabeth Olten is one we must never forget. If this story moved you or opened your eyes to the importance of mental health and justice, please like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true crime documentaries. And always remember, every life lost is a story that deserves to be told.